All right, welcome back. It is Chris Brown. I'm here with Daniel Poulter. That's how I pronounce it.
Yeah,
that's a Geordie way of saying it anyway.
Yeah. No, that works. Yeah.
Dan is an online coach and also coaches people to be online coaches too.
Yeah.
Originally, Dan reached out to me. He's like, let's do an Instagram live together. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, mate, why don't you just come to Liverpool? We'll do a podcast. I feel like it's a more natural way of having a conversation. It's like the first time we've met. So I'm excited to see what we uncover today. We'll probably talk a little bit on online coaching, a little bit online lead generation, marketing mindset, getting into the mentality of building a virtual business. I don't know much of your background either, so we'll dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But welcome.
Well, it's good to be here because I did say, even just before we got started, how most people avoid going on Instagram Live as it is at the moment. And I think it's still such a massively untapped market.
Yeah.
Because for all the people that don't do it, every now and then you see someone pop up as live and you instantly get that ring around their name where you take interest.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people put it off, especially coaches, because they're either scared that no one's going to show up, but that doesn't matter because then no one would know how terribly it went. And the best way of doing it is I tell my coaches to go live with someone else, because then you can put the ball in their court.
Like it.
And you can make it more like an interview. So when you said about doing this, I could have said, oh, that's a bit scary, going up to Liverpool doing something like this. But I knew it would be something that pushes me out of my comfort zone. And it's the kind of stuff that I would tell them to do. So if I'm telling them to go live on Instagram, I should have the balls to get on the train and come and record a podcast with someone I only just met. So
love that. I actually, I don't think I've ever been live on Instagram. I don't think it's ever been something that I've done. It's probably a little bit of a thing around like how many people turn up, what we talk about. But yeah, again, getting on with somebody else would be a helpful thing. So give me a little insight. How long you been online coaching and what was the transition for you?
So I was working as a personal trainer, like most people start out, did 9 years on the gym floor. And it got to a point where I was growing my social media, getting those inquiries naturally. And then I started taking on online clients, doing it like the makeshift way, like Word documents, like it was all on WhatsApp, none of the systems, none of the apps, none of the stuff you got now. And through the success of that, it got to a point where I was doing 50, 60 hours on the gym floor, super busy, fully booked, and growing my online business. And I had to make a choice. And because of the way of the world and where it was going, I was like, this is definitely where I want to go with it. So I gave up my job as not job, but was running my business. I gave up that part of my, delivery, the in-person stuff, and went all in online. And then for the past 3 or 4 years, I've been fully online.
Nice.
And now helping other people doing something similar, which is cool.
Perfect. That's like a beautiful transition. I was talking to Johnny Newsef from Propane.
Yeah.
And we were chatting about how because of the systems, the processes, the software, the tools that you have available to you right now, it almost like inebriates from people from actually doing it.
Yeah.
And we were like, listen, it's as simple as having a Word document, a Google sheet, a fucking WhatsApp. Like literally you can run an entire business that way. It's not sustainable. It's not efficient. It's not the best way you could do it, but it's better than trying to overwhelm yourself with all the other ways that you could do it.
That's why I say to a lot of these coaches in the beginning, where they're so obsessed about making this amazing all singing, all dancing program. And don't get me wrong, it should be something that gets world-class results eventually.
Of course.
But if anything, the hardest part is getting the demand and getting people interested, because you could spend 12 weeks building that out, or you could actually start posting content, putting yourself out there, even testing what people are interested in. Do an Instagram poll, says, hey, I'm thinking about doing a 12-week program. Would you guys be more interested in this or that? Don't start building something until you've even got some interest anyway. And I think that's where I either got lucky or maybe I was just thinking more proactively, and that's kind of how it built out for me.
I think it's not luck, and I don't think it's proactive. I think it's probably a case of necessity. You probably didn't have the time to sit and think about stuff, so you're just scrambling things together.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed that. Obviously, I've been mentoring people for like 10 years now. I've seen it so many times, like almost having too much time and too much availability causes problems.
Yeah.
And those that are busiest are usually just scrambling to get things together. I was telling a little story to my clients at our intensive last week, where when you're launching something new, you've almost got to have the mentality of like building an airplane as it's taken off. Like you're just on the runway and you're like putting pieces on. You're like, shit, I hope this works. I hope this works. And it's that mentality that sometimes people don't have. But everything I've ever done, I've launched, sold, then created. And it does put you back against the wall, and it can be stressful at times. But equally, I think it gives you a definitive deadline. Once somebody pays you money, you've got to deliver on that.
Well, there's no urgency otherwise, because if you don't have a launch date, like I said, there's so many people who will be watching or listening to this right now who have been procrastinating or putting off starting, whatever it is. But especially when it comes to the online world, I think because they say, oh, well, everyone's doing it and everyone's doing it like that, so I don't want to be like that. And when I get to it, I'll do it in this special, unique way. But the whole thing of like success leaves clues, right? Mm-hmm. So my thing on it was I saw people out there who were already doing a good job of it. Mm-hmm. I picked up on what I liked to resonate with me. Then I put my own spin on it. Then, like I said, I tested it with my followers, with my friends. I didn't even go that deep into, you know, my niche or anything at that point. It was just a 12-week program, very simple stuff. I picked a price point out of thin air and I just put it to the market and saw what happened. So
yeah, and I think there's a lot of merit in that. I'd rather, when I've coached clients over the years, like I'd rather you sell something that you know is undercharging and undervaluing what you do, with a mentality of making it better and more expensive as you go. Because sometimes you just need the experience of like figuring things out, like having some, oh, that doesn't work that well, or that's inefficient, or this person's getting left behind. And it's just that mentality again of like building the thing as you're doing it and figuring it out in real time versus trying to perfectly piece it together before you've got any experience of doing it at all.
Yeah, no, I think it's, I'm at a point now very similar. Like I'm transparent with everything I do. And even with the business coaching that I'm now doing, I found myself in, and that was through COVID. The whole thing of first they ask why and then they ask how.
Yep.
All the same guys who may be watching this right now who said to me, why are you going online? That's never going to work. That's not the future. You're giving up all this money in person. Were the same people DMing me in like March 2020 or whenever it was written,
shit.
you know, when the toilet paper was going, going out the shops, saying, what was that app you use? And how do you edit your videos again? It's like, oh, funny that you're asking now. And look, I'm cool with things like that. And I never hold a grudge. And I want to see everyone do well. But it's always interesting to me how it's that thing of wanting to know all the answers before taking the action. And sometimes you've just got to just go out there and test what does or doesn't work with real people. And as long as you don't charge way more than you think it's worth, and if anything, you under promise and over deliver, like I've found with moving into the business coaching space, I talk from a place that I've been to, and I don't talk from a place that I've never been. So I don't do, help you make 7 figures this year. When I do have a 7-figure business, I'll do that.
Yep.
But I talk from a place that I've been backwards, and that works well for me. So advice for any coaches watching this is, if it's a problem you solve for yourself or a problem that you solve for other people, that's a good place to start.
I mean, that's mostly how people find themselves there. And to me, people really, really overcomplicate online coaching. I actually launched a program back in 2011. It's called Get Your Body Back in 21 Days. It was like the first ever iteration of online coaching I'd ever done. And I can remember I was running a boot camp at the time, really successful boot camp. And I'd figured out like the very first version of Kajabi. I was like messing around with it, building like landing pages and stuff and just figuring things out. And I just posted a link on my Facebook page, like on my personal profile, went to teach boot camp, had my phone on a speaker. As I'm teaching, it's like notifications coming through, like ping, ping, ping. And it was PayPal notifications. And I made more money in that hour from the online program than I did from teaching that group. And I was like, that was like the moment for me. That was the epiphany. That was the 4-minute mile. That was the thing that just broke barriers for me. I'm like, this is possible. And from then on, I just got really geeky with online marketing and digital marketing, and just used an online thing to build my offline and online business. But people really complicate it. If you're coaching people in person, it is likely that people will pay you for your advice, your knowledge, your support away from the gym.
Yeah.
Reality is personal training's 1 session a week, mostly. Like, what do you do outside of that?
Yeah.
You're probably giving them I was giving people Excel spreadsheets at the time when I was PTing. What's that but online coaching?
Yeah.
Like, you're sending a spreadsheet over email. Like, it's ridiculous. It's the delivery mechanism changes. That's it.
It's the same way that anyone that has a business coach nowadays, if you're a fitness coach that has a business coach, when you sign up with them, you don't expect to meet with them physically once a week.
Yeah.
But you have that same limiting belief about people not wanting to work with you unless you meet with them in person once a week. So once you let that sink in and go, well, I wouldn't expect Chris to meet up with me every single week for a coffee or spend an hour with me training me on business.
Yep.
As long as he gets me the result that I've paid him for in less time than I can achieve on my own, you're happy. You don't care about the mechanism. So it is interesting, and it's quite ironic how coaches then start saying that back on their own clients.
And you realize it's massively inefficient to meet in person every week, regardless. Personal training's a massively inefficient thing. The client's got to get to the gym at a time that suits you and them.
Yeah.
They've got to get there, train. There's no flexibility.
Yeah.
And people who have busy lives, like who would afford a service like that, probably want more flexibility.
Yep.
Like sometimes I go to the gym at 2:00 in the afternoon. Sometimes I go to the gym at 6 a.m. I don't have to be penned in to go to the gym at a specific time and day every week. Equally, I go to jiu-jitsu at set times every week.
Yeah.
So there are massive benefits and advantages to coaching people virtually.
I think though I earned a lot of my stripes and learned a lot about customer service and dealing with people, both good and bad, in person. And I am a big advocate of online coaches not getting sucked into this laptop lifestyle, becoming keyboard warriors, getting great at all the skills they can do behind their bedroom door and actually still getting out there. So I often do push coaches and get them to go and do online marketing if they've got an in-person business, but also in-person marketing, regardless of them being online. I know so many online coaches who are still working in gyms with their head down in their Instagram, whilst members of the gym are walking past them who would be a perfect candidate for their online program.
Yeah.
And that's the transition I made. Yeah. So I decided when I knew that I was going all in online, I just used the 5,000 members in my gym and started sending them into my online program and said, yeah, you can work with me and I can meet with you once a week, but you don't want or need that. You want accountability, you want structure, you want guidance. Don't worry, like you said, about the mechanism. Do you believe I can get you the result? Yes. Do I believe it? Yes. Have I got the track record? Yes. So it's just a very natural progression.
Absolutely.
That's my alarm.
Well, I think as well, like...
It will keep going. Do you want to...
You can get it if you want.
Oh, do you want to stop it? Otherwise it will just keep going.
We can edit this.
It'll be all good.
It will keep going the whole time though, right?
Yeah,
I'll run
do you want to get it? Yeah.
I don't know how well you chopped that out. So.
Oh, it'll be all good, dude. Don't worry.
You will never even notice.
We can talk about my life with alarm.
Dude, I'm all for like leaving that in.
Oh really?
I don't mind.
I wouldn't be able to concentrate that long. You must be a real pro if you can handle that. Sorry, yeah. So we were saying.
Yeah, basically you were marketing in person for your online business because you were getting clients' results. They were happy that you could get the result without meeting one-to-one every week.
Yeah, and the same with, I'm sure you say the same to your guys with boot camps, is making sure that they also are aware of using the online marketing because they're so used to having referrals and word of mouth and people seeing them in the park and that just being a natural advert for what they do. But as obviously quite literally what you do with your guys is showing them that there will be people that are scrolling on Instagram in pain, wanting a solution, wanting to get back to where they were before having their baby or whatever. And they may never have ever considered your boot camp as an option, but the way you present it through an advert or even organically through your content, it's about seeing what you do and how you can help them in multiple different ways at multiple different times and being everywhere all the time. I think Absolutely. That's the big part I noticed.
Well, a client's a client, It doesn't matter whether you met them in person, you found them online.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And I think equally, I'm a huge advocate of now, I think we have to have this conversation of personal trainers coming into the industry with no experience, training people in person, wanting to build an online business. I know from a decade of in-person coaching, people working with hundreds of people a day, like having my own gym, and you could have 100 different people through the door a day.
Yeah.
You're working with that many people in a single day. Like it sharpens your skills, your tools, your ability to see how someone moves, what's going on, how to handle their emotional load that day, how to navigate them through challenge, how to guide them through difficulty. I don't think that can be replaced. And I think if anybody is considering having an online business that hasn't had the chops of coaching people in person, I think build the online, but also like get your experience actually working face to face with a person because it teaches you so much.
And join like a local networking club or networking group, right? Or go and offer to deliver a free in-person workshop at your local gym even if you don't want in-person clients, you can still sell those guys off the back of it into your online program. Don't underestimate the power of getting out there and like you said, testing your people skills in person. And the other thing is, if you're scared to sell to people on the phone or in the DMs or whatever mechanism people use online, the best way to sharpen your sales skills is going to be selling to people in person. Because that's why so many coaches resort to DMing their prices and wondering why they never hear from them again, rather than getting them booked in for a call. But trust me, the fastest way, and you see it from the biggest and best sellers around the world that do sales training, they always come from a background of door-to-door sales or selling cars or selling whatever. And that's how you sharpen your skills. So if you can find ways to challenge yourself to get better at selling in person, you then jumping on a phone call is going to be far less scary, because that's the background I come from. Selling PT like this on a sofa to someone, be like, cool, so this is the price. You ready? Do you want to move forward? That's an awkward conversation. Some of these coaches that don't want to get on the phone and sell their service, if they never did the PT selling thing, that's not awkward. Like this, it can get very awkward in person when you've got someone sitting across from you that's
usually in a 2x2 little
sweaty
room
little
somewhere.
room. Yeah,
exactly.
So I think it's massively important. So I'm a massive advocate of that, penning people out there. And I've noticed a lot as well, when people DM people on Instagram, they always ask me, coaches, oh, what should I say? I'm like, what would you say in the gym?
Yeah.
I'd walk up to you and say, hey mate, are you new here? You'd be like, yeah, what's your name? Cool. What are your goals at the moment?
Yeah.
Have the same conversation you have in person as you would in the DMs. Why does it change? So there's so many things that carry over that you can only really learn doing some in person.
I just think it's about becoming multi-dimensional, and think today's world, everything's overly edited, or we've got people doing fucking Instagram videos like this instead of actually communicating. Like, those videos drive me fucking insane. Fair play to anyone who does them.
I'm doing one tonight,
maybe that's an edge for me, But basically, I think it's just about learning how to communicate in all facets. You need to be able to communicate long form like this.
Yeah.
You need to be able to communicate in short form content. That's the way the world is moving. You need to be able to speak on stage in front of people. I think you've got to be able to speak one-to-one in a consultative experience, virtually and in person. And truly, if you want to become the best coach that you can become, communication in all facets is the foundation. Like when I started PT in 2009, Facebook was barely a thing. Barely a thing. And the way in which I would get clients back then was networking events.
Yeah.
And business groups.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot quicker as well. Obviously I run ads, you run ads, you teach ads, like adding that to your plan of attack for your marketing is a no-brainer, right? That's a given. But that doesn't then mean that you then get lazy or however you want to look at it and forget about the things that got you where you started. Because anytime I reverse engineer the funnel of how did that client come into my business, and I go, when did I stop doing that? And I hate that, and that really bugs me. So I put systems in place, or I create habits, or I delegate and I hire people to do certain things. And I think one of the ones that I've learned a lot over the years of then now moving into this mentorship space is how often because we'll both do it as well, we'll be very quick to look for new and different ways of getting clients and growing our business, and actually slowly walking away from the things that got us there in the first place.
Absolutely.
Easily done and easier said than done to keep them going. But and of course explore new things, but just don't ever forget the stuff that got you busy in the first place. And it is far quicker to do that in person.
I think the further you move away from the pain that you're in, the less connected you are to the process that got you out of it.
Yes.
And I think sometimes that's an important thing for a trainer who's in shape to understand.
Yeah.
When you're not in shape,
you
experience all of the emotions and feelings and difficulties with being out of shape. But when you get in shape, you forget that.
Yes.
But that's equally the bridge that will help you connect to that person. It's the same. I was saying, I can't remember when I was saying this, maybe on a previous episode, but the likes of Nas or, and I'll use Nas as an example, like his first two albums were unbelievable. It was just like the sound of New York captured at that period in time. The more that artist moves away from poverty and more towards wealth and abundance, the harder it is for that music to land with the audience that build them. Same in business coaching. you do stuff in business coaching that's evolved, but it's not the stuff that was the initial stuff to get you going.
Yes.
And I think we've got to really understand that there is merits for not teaching what you do, but teaching what got you to where you are.
Yes. And I think that's why when people stress out and bug out about the whole niche thing, because we're constantly told the riches are in the niches and you have to niche that. And of course, there is a case for that. But I think in the beginning, work, in my opinion, with as many different types of people as you can, from young to old, introverts, extroverts, whatever, men and women from all walks of life. And then you can actually learn who you want to work with. But if you're still confused about that and that doesn't solve the problem for you, just look at the problems you solved for yourself, or who were you 5 to 10 years ago, just like we said. And I know you do slowly come away from that pain over time. It's harder to get there. But even just looking back through old photos and trying to connect with how you used to look, or I don't know, looking at your report card from school, being told that you were never going to amount to something, or the numbers would say that, and then finding ways to emotionally, mentally connect back to the person you were. Yeah. And then once you get into that zone and start flooding down, wait, when I started out, I really used to worry about that. Whereas now you don't. So I think that's why it is so handy to tap back into who you were before, rather than try and solve problems from somewhere you've never been or someone you've never been.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think the best coaches are usually solving a problem that they used to have.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very evident, or something that they were very close to growing up. Maybe they were exposed to something and they then find a way to help other people never experience that.
Yeah.
So where is your time split now? Is it between the mentoring, the online coaching? What are you prioritizing your time with now?
So my one-to-one coaching is pretty much completely spent now doing the business mentoring side of things, helping these PTs get fully booked on the gym floor and then start making money online. Or like we said, starting to insert online marketing within an in-person business or vice versa. And then with my fitness business, I've got some coaches that help me run it, but the majority of my time is spent doing the business mentoring. And I think what I found for me was I got to a point where I was like, and again, being transparent, and I've said this in front of my fitness clients, I got to a point where I just felt like there was more that I could and should be doing. And it pisses me off when I meet a great coach, a great PT, whether it's from qualifications or they've got a big heart, or they just love helping people and they're great at what they do. And they tell me that they're struggling to grow their business because I know that they qualified and then they started a business, but there was nothing in between. You leave your level 3 qualification with knowing fuck all about business or marketing. You only know what you know. So I try and help them fill that gap. And I think that's why now I'm so heavily spending my time doing that, because it bugs me. It really does genuinely annoy me. And I feel like I've worked a few things out. So I want to share that. And I'm that kind of guy that the reason I went on Instagram in the first place is because the minute I learn something, I look around my house for my wife to tell her about it, whether she likes it or not. Or I call a mate. I'm that guy that feels like if I've learned a cool thing, I need to share it. I'm like obsessed with that. So yeah, that's where I'm at with my time.
Love that. Yeah, I think the industry has failed in many ways because there's so many certification companies that just push to get people certified. I mean, even being in Pure Gym, you hear over the speakers constantly, want to start a career in the fitness industry, become a personal trainer, get a guaranteed job. Like, it's so crazy. And then the guaranteed job is work 15 hours for us a week for free. Yeah. So that we can fulfill our obligation of having staff on the gym floor, and then figure out how to build a business in the other 15 hours a week, which is impossible.
But we're not going to support you with the marketing or the business knowledge. And I think that's the thing, is that you can't say that you are setting people up by teaching them about anatomy and exercise selection. How is that ever going to set some up for a successful PT business?
It's not.
So it's like teaching a chef how to cook great food and then telling them to open their own restaurant. It's a very different thing. Going from being an employed person to a self-employed person, it's a completely different mindset.
There's a difference between a practitioner and an operator.
Yes.
So a practitioner is an amazing person doing the thing, but then the operator is having a fiscal vehicle, being able to actually create income, monetize it, build a team, leadership skills. Like, it's so much more difficult. It's just a different skill. And I don't think anyone ever thinks beyond that initial thing. I remember distinctly when I was PTing about 18 months in, I was like, what's next?
Yeah.
I've been doing this 18 months now. I was on the treadmill standing next to a friend. We were just walking. And I'm like, okay, so I'm pretty tapped out. Like I can't really take any more clients on than I've got. He was the same. But I was like, I want to make more money. I don't really enjoy every client that I work with. Got some clients that I don't enjoy working with. It's like, what's next? And I think at some point, I don't know, maybe everyone's not this way, but like a curious mind is constantly seeking towards something new or different. And that's when I started looking at boot camps and leveraging time. And it's the same thing. Ultimately, personal training is a really inefficient way to grow a business long term.
Yeah.
Really amazing way to start a business, really inefficient way to grow a business long term. I think that's...
I'm a big advocate at the moment as well of having a hybrid approach of all of this stuff, right?
Me too.
From whether you have some in-person clients just because you love working with them, and that's cool. And I had clients that I kept for way too long on paper, but they brought different things to my life, like mentorship. I had a client who had 50 properties all over the country. And yes, I was undercharging him probably at the time, but what I was gaining and what I've learned now about property is worth thousands versus what I was charging. So there is a case for that. So I often say to the more gym-based PTs that it's not always about what you're earning, it's about what you're learning, right? Yeah. And it's making sure that if you are going to keep someone on, which on paper would be for the wrong reasons, if they're not, you're not charging them what you should or you could be with where you're at, as long as you're getting something out of that relationship and something that maybe is different.
Could be energy, could be vibe, could be, could literally light you up.
If that one client sets you up for the week, and that's the client that when you go home, you tell your missus, you tell your partner, say, they're like, you're in a good mood. Yeah, I'm buzzing because I met with Craig today.
Yep.
And that was that guy for me. Every time I trained this guy, Craig, Ellie, my wife, always knew that I came home buzzing. I'd be banging on to her about the next property idea or something like that. And I was bringing something else to the table. But I think back to what you originally said is the difference now is not getting obsessed with this whole laptop on the beach in Dubai bullshit lifestyle that the majority of these guys don't even live, and finding a hybrid approach and actually not feeling like there's anything wrong with wanting to do that either. It's not like online is better than...
Yeah, offline, no. It's just a different vehicle.
But that is a thing at the moment.
Yeah, well, it is. I've had a number of clients who have gone, okay, I want to build a fully virtual business and want to travel. And within 8 weeks, they're like, oh, this travel stuff sucks.
It's lonely.
Yeah. I took a week away in Turkey, in Istanbul, a few months ago. Took my laptop, was going to do a bit of work, and it was a nightmare. Like, I wasn't productive. I wasn't efficient. I couldn't find internet. It was a pain in the ass, like nowhere really to work from. Ended up being more stressful than it was, and I should have just worked really hard for 3 days and then fucking went there and chilled out for the other 3-4 days. But I do think there is this just desire because of Instagram or whatever reason to just have a fully laptop-based lifestyle. But if you're a personal trainer in a gym right now, here's a model that you could use right away. Every client that you see every week, you could cut that down to every other week or once a month, and you could program for them in between. Have online check-ins, have online accountability. Even that approach, once a month in-person meets, you could 4x your client base.
Yeah.
You could go from 30 clients a week to 120 clients a month because you just see one client every week 30 times, and you'd see them once a month, and that's it. Like, you could literally go from a PT business for 3-4 grand a month to like 12 grand a month. Charge every client 100 quid a month and see them once a week.
That's not dissimilar to what I did anyway, because what I realized was that, and I realized that I could see these people less often, and then insert the online elements to provide the rest of the support. And we all had it as personal trainers when you had those cash cow clients that you saw 5 times a week, and it sounded great. And when they signed up, you told your mates, you told everyone about them, couldn't believe it, 5 times a week. And you had 5 of those. And when 2 of them went missing, your income's almost halved and you're flapping. Whereas if you have less clients that you see, like you said, less often, if you lose one of your 30 clients, you still got 29 to play with.
Exactly.
And you're not thinking, shit, how am I going to pay my bills this month? And guess what? Your referrals then 4x, 10x, whatever. And then guess what? You can then charge more. And I'm I'm definitely with you on that one.
Well, like if you imagine this, right? You charge 100 quid a month and you're a personal trainer who charges 35 quid a session. I don't know what it down your way is. It's like 5 times that or something. Up here, like 35 quid an hour is like it's probably like top of the tree, to be fair. And you're charging 100 a month for one session a month, but all of the online stuff. You can just stack your clients.
Yeah.
And then it's all about client acquisition. And frankly, like you said, five times a week with a PT client sounds amazing until you've got to meet them 5 times a week.
Yes.
And
And
it
talk
becomes
about the
very
same
draining.
stuff.
Exactly.
What did you do yesterday? Well, you know what I did yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What did you do yesterday? Well, you know what I did yesterday.
Yeah. So it's just a really scalable, efficient business. And like you say, you lose one client, it's 100 quid a month. Okay, go and get another one. It's far more accessible for people. It's far more affordable. It's easier to get a client, and it actually solves the problem probably infinitely better than meeting them once a week and doing nothing in between.
And if you're in it because you want to serve more people, and that is why I went online, and that is the biggest pull for me, is the fact that I do want to help as many people as I can. So I knew that going online was the only way to do it. And arguably, I say to some coaches, if you're really telling me that, Dan, I'm so about helping people, I'm so about spreading my mission or whatever that is, you're arguably being a bit selfish by not putting that out there and putting yourself out there. And you can't keep telling people to go into the free weights area and face their fears and push themselves out of their comfort zone, but you haven't got the bottle to do something like this, get on camera or post an Instagram post. So it works both ways. And I think that back to this model of doing something where you see more people less often, it's just then about getting creative with the ways that you can provide more value to them.
Well, who created the model of weekly personal training?
Yeah, this is true.
This is the thing. Like nobody ever gets curious about how that ever came to an existence. Like somebody figured that out and it just got passed along as that's how you do personal training.
Yeah.
And then we just accept that as to what it is. And then we just replicate the same problem. I see it so often. The fitness industry has the same problem that's just regurgitated and repeated. The busiest guy in the gym, everyone looks up to, like, oh, I want to be like that person. Really doesn't understand that the busiest guy in the gym hates his life and doesn't get to sleep and is up early, he's still there late at night. He's having a kip on the couch at lunchtime. Like,
done that.
Yeah, me too. I get up 6 o'clock client, 7 o'clock client, sleep on the couch at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock client, 10 o'clock client. And honestly, like, we've got to start getting curious as to how do we want to build a business?
Yes.
How do I want my life to be structured? How do I want things to be? How do I want to charge? Why is 35 quid an hour the international personal training price? Like, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's the fact that I think back to what I said about the whole success leaves clues thing, that can go against you clearly in this scenario where if you just assume that, oh, well, if that's what the busiest guy does, then that's what I'm going to do. But like you said, if you ask questions and you test different approaches as well, I think being new to the industry is the best time to test a different approach, sell to someone and say, what does it look like if you only offer to see them once a week? What do the results look like? What does their fulfillment look like? What does the referrals look like? And then in the same token, test having someone that you see more often. Maybe you do like that and you just only ever want to have 5 clients. You slowly want to raise your prices and that's cool. But I think like you said, it's being curious. And I don't think people test enough in the beginning. And that's the best time to do it because you've got less on the line.
Exactly. I don't know about you, but as I became more successful, made more money, there's almost like an inherent anxiety that builds with that as well. So you, in the early days, you've got nothing to lose. You've got nothing to lose. As you build something, you almost get ingrained into that thing and it has to be that way because you've constructed it and built it that way. So just get curious. Like, what model do you want to build? I mean, pricing, we should talk about pricing.
Yeah.
There's a massive, I don't know whether the high ticket stuff is still being banded around a lot, but
it seems to be from the more American-based mentors, I feel. And I feel like Americans, from my experience, prefer, they don't mind being sold to. Mm-hmm. But us British guys especially, we walk into Curry's, if that's still a thing, to buy a TV.
Yeah.
You want a TV, right?
Yeah.
You and your partner gone in there, you want a TV. Guess what? The guy comes over and says, hey, do you want some help buying a TV? And you're like, no, I'm fine, thanks.
Yep.
It's like we're so against being sold to.
Absolutely.
So I feel like maybe there's something around that coming over.
Yeah, and I just think high ticket personal training, I just don't think it's the easiest way for people to build a business.
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset of charge enough to make your advertising profitable, be able to grow a business that's profitable, gives you the lifestyle you want, but not so much that it's like such a big decision for somebody to invest. And I think dependent on what you do, of course, the depth of the problem, the depth of the service that you go to. I've got clients that do charge 2,000-3,000, but they have problems that warrant that, and service that warrants that, and really requires a lot of time, energy, and attention. But equally, clients that charge 150, 180, 200 pound a month, and they build a really, really, really successful, solid business with that. And I just think there's not one way to do it. There's not high ticket only or low ticket only or mid-range pricing only. But I definitely think you've got to have in the back of your mind, where do I want my business to be? Do I ever envisage employing people? Do I see myself coaching people all of the time? Do I see myself doing all of the online marketing all of the time? Would I like some people to assist me with that? Do I want an admin assistant? Do I want somebody to do video full time? What are the pieces of your business that you would like to outsource? Like, I have every piece of equipment. We were just talking about cameras before. I have everything I need to produce this podcast on my own.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to have to sit there and edit things or manage the editing process. I just want to have, okay, I sit down, I have a great conversation, video file goes to my team, they take it, they chop it up. Next minute it's in a Dropbox folder, I upload the clip to Instagram. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think you have to have a vision for how you want your business to look, and that will determine your pricing, not what you think you can charge.
Well, I think as well with the charging side of things at the moment is that if in doubt, you just charge what the next business guru says. I personally feel like for a lot of the guys in the beginning, I thought it was fairly obvious that you start a little bit lower and you work your way up, right? Mm-hmm. But that seemed to got lost somewhere. And that doesn't mean undercharge and undercharge forever. Your prices should go up obviously over time as your demand grows. But I think one of the better ways of going about it, firstly, and so many, not just coaches, but business owners in general, they haven't ever even sat down how much money they want to earn on a monthly basis to live the life they want. I think it was in Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Workweek book where he talks around working out that he actually was earning enough money to do the thing he really wanted to do already. So I think if you're a coach right now and you're not working to a monthly income target or a new sales target or some sort of number that you're reverse engineering, well, no wonder you're struggling with your pricing, because you haven't even sat down and worked out, well, I do want to be the whole 10K coach a month, right? Okay, well, do you want to sell 10,000 pound programs? And are you at a level where you can do that? And if you're not, you need to sell 20, 250 pound programs or whatever it works out to. So I think it's working out what you want to earn, then working out how much you would have to sell, and then what you feel comfortable at somewhere within that as a slight formula.
What the vehicle to get there is. But I mean, it doesn't take much to sell £1,000 program. Sounds like high ticket, and it's not. I have this thing I call it time warp profits. So I think, okay, if you wanted to sell a program for £1,000, the number of ways you could do it. It could be £1,000 a month. It could be £1,000 for 8 weeks. It could be £1,000 for 12 weeks. It could be £1,000 for 16 weeks.
Yeah, nice.
It could be £1,000 for 6 months. And as long as your delivery vehicle isn't something that will get you into a bottleneck of overserving and not being able to handle volume of clients, then you can sell £1,000 packages day in, day out. Like a 6-month program for £1,000 or 3 payments of 333 or 6 payments of 150 or whatever, really easy to sell. And then if you sell 10 of those every month for 6 months, you've got a 10K per month business.
And I think it's that element of what you said there around, let's say you go off of what you feel comfortable selling and the way you chop it up. If you don't feel comfortable selling £1,000 program for someone that lasts 3 months, but 6 months sits better, 12 months feels like you're undercharging, then you can start to work somewhere like that anyway. So I think that's a great way of going about it.
Yeah, like it makes it really, really easy, because then now you're not comparing to what other people are doing. You're going, okay, well, what is it that I want to build? It's very simple. If the 6-month program was £1,000, 10 clients per month will get you to 10 grand a month within 6 months, that you would have 60 clients. Now you have to look at a vehicle of delivery for those 60 clients. How do I best serve them? How do I do it efficiently? How am I going to do this without giving every minute of my time to those clients? How am I going to be able to support them? Am I going to be able to get them results? And these are the questions that you can start asking yourself, because those are the things that inherently prevent you from getting there. Because people, I actually think there's a big fear around pricing and charging is more of a case of not actually selling the program's easy. Delivering on what you sold is hard. And I think that's where the problem comes in. I think nobody would have a problem with selling a $2,000 program. I think the fear is, are people going to think that $2,000 was worth it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fear.
And it's, if you don't feel like you have, once you've got over the obvious, elements of getting better at selling, and it comes down to having the conviction to say with your chest wholeheartedly, you know what I do is worth this amount, and it works, and I get results. And you look, if you need to, before a sales call, look back through your list of transformations or have them up on the wall in front of you and go, I am the shit. I am good at what I do. And I do command this price. Because the example would be, you could go into Sports Direct and get a Nike bag for 30 quid, or you can walk into Louis Vuitton and spend $3,000. That's someone's choice at the end of the day. And if they charge what they think it's worth, if they just wanted a bag, then they would go to Sports Direct if it was just about a bag. But if they perceive that there's going to be more value for paying more money, let them decide. But you choose the price. You have conviction. If you've got proof in what you do, then the rest is up to the customer to decide what they do with it. Yeah,
selling is really easy when you've got certainty around delivery of results. I think it'd be really difficult to go and do a remodel of somebody's bathroom and be like, can I actually do this? Can I tile? Can I plumb? Can I actually fit this shower? Do I actually know how to install this bath? Like if that was going through your mind, there's no way in hell you could actually 100%. Sell that. It's the same thing with this. Like the only level of uncertainty creeps in from, do I think that I can deliver on what I'm actually saying I'm going to get? And if you can't, then that comes down to skill set. Fortunately, skills are easily acquired. You can buy them in the form of hiring somebody to deliver those skills for you, or you can study your ass off. I have a friend who's an amazing psychotherapist, and there is a program in the wings for me down the line. And there was a piece of me that was like, okay, I'd love to study everything that Matt studied. But like his depth of knowledge and his experience and his wisdom is already way beyond where I could get in a handful of months. So if I wanted to provide that as a piece of a puzzle that solves a problem, I could hire that in. It's far easier for me to sell the solution and acquire the things that solve the problem than it is for me to learn it and spend time, energy, effort, and money trying to figure that thing out.
Well, the conviction also comes from, again, looking back at your own results. And like I said, if you talk from a place that you've been versus, the whole imposter thing goes around a lot at the moment on social media about ways to overcome your imposter syndrome. But sometimes you should feel like a bit of an imposter because maybe you have overstepped the mark, and maybe there is something in you that's telling you you're trying to sell something or provide something that you haven't actually really done for yourself, or more importantly, done for other people. And that's cool. That just means that you need to acquire more results and put on more free challenges, or get some of your mates involved and put them through a free program. Like that, you should listen to that. You can't always, it's not always just a limiting belief that you need to get over. Sometimes if I went in and like I said,
it's a physical belief.
Yeah. If I started saying to people, I can help you build a 7-figure business and I've never built one for myself or anyone else, then I should feel like an imposter, right? So, and that's not a limiting belief thing. That might just be, you just haven't yet got there. But like I said, when I get there, I'll likely do that because I'll have that conviction of like, I've done the thing. I can definitely get guys 6-packs or help PTs get fully booked. I can do those things because I've done it for myself and I've now got proof doing it for other people. I don't ever feel like an imposter because I've done the thing that I'm selling.
And this comes down to actually like solve a problem you can solve.
Yes.
And it's far better I had a program, it was like how to build a 3 to 5K per month online business. That was actually easier for me to sell. I was selling a 6-figure thing as well. It was easier for me to sell the 3 to 5K per month thing than the 6-figure thing, because sometimes the 6-figure is a big stretch for people in their mind and their limitation. 3 to 5K per month, they did almost rather pay more for that than the 6-figure thing because it's inside of their belief. Now, I believe there is an element of stretching belief, but also like sell what you can get. Like if it's not a 6-pack and it's not shredded and it's not photo shoot ready, you don't have to sell that. What if it's just getting people in better shape than they're in currently?
And if it was someone who was, heavily overweight to having a flat stomach or whatever the result is, everyone's level of success is going to be different. And the first thing I ask my clients, both in fitness and business, is what does success look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because I might think to a guy that comes to me, I do feel like every guy that comes to me that says he's going on holiday, I just assume, oh, you must want a six pack because that's my standard of what I want, right?
Yeah.
But most of the guys say to me, oh no, dude, I just want to be able to have a flat stomach or take my top off and things not jiggle or me not feel embarrassed and the boys poke fun of me. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, everyone's level of success is different. So for some people, it might be 5K a month, it might be 50K a month. But
exactly.
You have to identify that with your clients and then think about not just what does success look like for you, but what does it look like for them?
And that determines how you create your content massively, because that little conversation that you have, I don't want the boys to poke fun at me.
Yeah.
Like that's in a dialogue that he's having. Like you might be communicating six pack for holiday. That might be just going over their head.
Yeah.
Completely. But like, hey, would you like to go on holiday and be able to take your top off without the boys ripping you?
Yeah.
Like that's something that if you can communicate that in a way that's honest and integral, they're like, yeah, that stung.
Yes.
That hit a nerve. And I think that's the key. It's like, what is an ideal success in short, middle, and long term for your dream client?
Yeah, with the dream client thing, I think that is something I've looked at a lot recently with the guys that I'm helping. And other exercises that I've done with them is just literally getting out a notepad or getting out a Google Doc or whatever and just writing down 50 to 100 problems that either they've solved for themselves or that they've solved for someone else or a combination of the two. And you just got to flip that stuff on its head and that becomes your content. If you put the word how in front of anything, it becomes a piece of content.
Yep.
If you say, my thing was I was skinny, 65 kilos to 85 kilos muscular, if I just put the how I did that or how to or the 3 best ways to, I've got tons of content and tons of different ways to spin it off. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah. There's like weight gain, weight loss, muscle gain.
Yeah.
Like get lean, there's so many different angles. And like you say, I think if you're somebody who, I don't know if was that your story from 65?
That was my story.
So like skinny guy to rip guy, like that's a big angle, but most people don't think about what they want to do. They think about what can I sell?
Yes. Or what is everyone else selling?
Yeah, exactly. And we all default to weight loss of some description in the fitness industry because that's what we think.
Yeah.
I think in a local market, having done 10 plus years of local marketing, help shit ton of gyms, thousands of personal trainers. I think local marketing is really limited. You might have 60, 70,000 people in your town that are actually your demographic. The majority of those people want to look better, feel better, lose weight. But when you go into an online sphere, like you just open up a Pandora's box of potential problems you can solve. I think it's really about something that you can see yourself doing for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Not just like, what's going to make me $5,000 a month this month or next month or the month after? Because ultimately, as cliche as it sounds, you've got to wake up and actually enjoy what you're doing, because sooner rather than later, that's all you've got.
Yeah.
It's being in the moment doing the thing that you have.
Something I went through with the guys yesterday was if you were to wake up every day and say the statement to yourself, I'm building the best something for what type of person? I asked them, what would that be for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if you're not waking up every day in the attempt, in the mission to build the best thing for a certain type of person, you are just going about ticking boxes, fulfilling the role of what an online coach or a PT or a boot camp should look like. Whereas when you change that to more of a mission or more of like a bigger problem that you solve, way bigger than just providing workout plans and nutrition guidance, you can then really get your teeth stuck into the task, thinking that every little thing I do is contributing towards building the best version or the ultimate version or the world's best or UK's best or Liverpool's best, whatever it is to you, for someone. And then you get behind your content in a very different way. And that's where the passion front comes through. But if you look at your list of the clients that you've helped, let's say you're a couple of years in, and you look at where the best results have come out of, that often tells you a lot. There's a lot of data in that. If you see that, wait, I've got 50 transformations from women and only 10 from men. And out of those 50, the ones I enjoyed working with the most were the more of the introvert type, because I'm a bit more introverted. That's where the clues come from. You can look at your data ultimately.
Well, yeah, because what you value is evident in your life everywhere. So people talk about values, they really mean virtues like loyalty, trust, etc. What you value is where you spend your most energy and time. So there are probably clients that you put more time and energy into
Yes.
And those are the ones that get results.
Yeah.
And that will happen as a natural byproduct of actually enjoy working with them.
Yeah.
And you won't have a conscious awareness of that, but it will be something that you could go back and reverse, like take the steps back to those people and be like, okay, yeah, like this person's very similar to this person and this person. And they showed up in this way and they had this attitude and this mentality and they were committed like this. And very quickly you'll see it's very easy for a coach. Like if you've got a really committed client that's really dedicated and they're a breeze to work with, you put a lot of energy into that person.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And then equally, if you've got a client that's a pain in the ass, always complaining, never really doing the work, expecting you to do everything for them, you're equally going to kind of have an element of anxiety around having any contact with them.
What's your input on, or your opinion on the whole, it's often the clients or the customers that pay the most who are the least hassle. Have you heard that one before?
I have, yeah. And I don't always agree.
Yeah.
I refunded somebody $3,000 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Who paid like this and was a pain.
So what would you say is like, where do you think that comes from? That why has that become a thing?
Yeah, I just think it's a cliche thing that people say to convince you that selling higher price programs is a good idea
because they want you to buy their higher price
like
program.
there's a lot of things that are just assumed. I think like I've been around. When did I made my first serious investment in mentoring was 2010 with Poulter. That was way back. But like after that, 2013, I made a big investment. I think it was like $8,000 for like 8 weeks. Probably the most impactful program that I went through. Funny enough, everything that I went through beyond that was just a
version, like a
version of a version, a version of a version of a version.
Yeah.
And continue to spend an extreme amount of money on finding out the same thing and getting extremely frustrated. And there are a lot of things that we never question but do accept because there are people in authority roles. The same thing with high ticket fitness. I think the only reason that people teach you to sell high ticket mostly is because 2-3 sales and their fees covered.
Sure.
And then even if there's no results beyond that, they're like covered the cost of that.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a friend, James Kemp, and we were having a conversation one day and we were chatting and he was like, yeah, we're all part of a big Ponzi scheme that one day is going to fall to pieces. Like just almost joking, but like it's almost.
Honestly, man, I feel like there's when you go up the run of who mentors who, and you kind of work your way up, and similar stuff is working its way down, like in fitness, and that's fair enough, right? Thing. And there's that is just how it is in all industries. But it's interesting that for me, what I learned was I got to a point where I was like, fuck, I can't just keep spending more money on mentorships and programs. Even again, my wife Ellie would pick up and be like, I'm listening to your calls, babe, and they're saying similar stuff. It's like, you know what? The next time I spend money, it's going to be on staff or systems or branding. And I think a lot of coaches at the moment, like 1 or 2 mentorships or 2 or 3 mentorships, or maybe go through a period of mentorship and take some time out to reflect and actually implement the stuff you've learned. Because if you're one of these coaches, and we all know them, that just bounce from one mentorship and one mastermind to another, thinking that there's some secret sauce, but actually it's just doing the same stuff you did that worked for you before on a bigger level. Like one of my mentors, he has like 1,000 online fitness clients, and he's killing it, and he built a massive fitness business. You ask him, he'll say transparently, instead of having 1 VA, I have 50. Instead of have 10 coaches, I have 20. Like he's just doing everything on a bigger level. He's like, there's no secret sauce here. I'm just doing the. I'm just spending more money now on systems. He hasn't done a mentorship in a couple of years, and that's up for debate. That's his choice. But I got to that point, I was like, shit, I just need to just actually do the fucking work.
Scaling is doing more of the stuff that you did at the smaller levels.
Yeah.
But with more clients and more infrastructure. I think we have to get curious. Like I know I reflect back and I think, fucking hell, I've made a lot of money and I've invested a lot of money into mentoring and coaching. Some of it was great, some of it wasn't. Some gave me insights, but every piece of it was valuable. But there has to come a time when you go, okay, what am I seeking outside of myself to get to the next level?
Yeah.
Because equally, the things that you eventually avoid will find you at some point in time. So if you're going to a program and you're not doing what that person says, and you go to another program to try and find the secret, that's not the thing that you don't want to do. eventually you're going to find out that actually that's the thing I need to do.
Yeah.
But it will be an expensive journey and a timely journey to go through that.
Yeah, and that's why, like I don't at all get involved in teaching about Facebook ads. I've had some success with them in the past because, again, back to speaking from a place of authenticity, and it got to a point with me where I was like, I'm constantly spending time and money, like I said, on acquiring and learning more knowledge. I was actually feeling more overwhelmed. I was procrastinating more. I was feeling worse about myself because I wasn't actually giving myself some time to go and implement the stuff that I knew I should be doing.
Yeah.
And that's when I involved sort of, paid marketing and having things run for me and spending my money on things like that instead of just learning more stuff from the same person and actually feeling worse for it.
Yep.
And using it as an excuse. Like I say to some people, they're constantly like, what's the best book? They always get asked that. I'm sure you get asked that. What your life-changing book, or what book should I read now? And you're like, dude, tell me out of that 365 pages you just read, have you actually stopped and implemented?
Exactly.
Fuck all. Okay, well then you don't need any more books. You actually just need to spend some time doing the work.
On the book front, like I used to read a book a week for a good period of time. And now I can read a page or two and be like, I've got what I needed today.
Yes.
That's it. And just put it down. And I'm happy. And I think there is almost like a nobility or bravado of like, I read this book to front to back. But equally, like you say, we can spend all of our time accumulating and never really any time actioning the stuff that we figured out. And you forget about it. I mean, I could go back to a bunch of books that I've never read in years and think, what did I actually get out of that? I don't really know.
I had a coach come to me the other day, and I think something that I do like about, on reflection, if I maybe did seek advice or help through mentorship and I came out of it thinking, actually, I didn't really learn much from it. The thing you can take from that experience, and the way that I like to optimistically look at everything, is now I know how I don't want to run my business. Mm-hmm. So there is benefit that if you're a fitness coach, go and get yourself a fitness coach. Go and hire the guy that you look up to and actually see if they're any good. Mm-hmm. If you've got a PT in your gym that you think he's got his shit together, give him 500 quid, do some sessions with him, or join his next 12-week challenge and actually see if it's any good. Mm-hmm. If it's good, you're going to get tons of ideas. And if it's crap, you're going to learn ways that you don't want to do your business. Yep. And that's going to save you a lot of money. You might pay him 500 quid and think, I've wasted my money, but you might make thousands later for knowing what you don't like.
Absolutely.
And there's benefit in that. So yeah, I remember it being a scary prospect the first time I hired a mentor. Back when I was like 20, I signed up to a mentorship for 6 months. It was $3,000 and I was 20. And this was like when the high ticket thing wasn't even as popular. And that was a massive thing for me. I didn't need to do it. I felt the want to go and put myself in the room with other people who were like-minded outside of just the guys in my gym who are the kind of ones that say, keep doing what you're doing all the time.
Yeah, like I don't see anything as a wasted investment at all. And I think there are always lessons from every single thing. And I think the problem is jumping around.
Yeah.
I have a belief that most people kind of know what they're talking about. I don't think they'd have any level of success if they didn't. You can always find success stories with every mentor. You can also find failure with every mentor.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the mentor that's the problem. I think the better results I've had with clients are often people who've been with me for 2-3 years and who I've built a big, deep relationship with. I understand the individual and the person, the business, where they want to go. And I just think you can't get that from an 8-week program sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes you do need to invest in infrastructure. I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not investing more in figuring out marketing. I'd always hire marketing. I get marketing programs.
Yeah.
And ultimately it comes down to execution.
Yeah.
And actually just doing something, but doing it well and figuring it out. If something's not working, it's not that it's not going to work. It's probably that you haven't tested it enough. Like I'll throw £1,000 on Facebook ads, and if it bombs, I'll be like, okay, what didn't work? What could I do better? How could I optimize this? It takes iterations of things.
Yeah.
Like my very first mentor said he had a business. It was like $300,000 a month membership site. And they had a funnel that he kind of threw together for himself. This was going back, before 2010, we're talking like 2007, 2008. It was like really, really in early with like affiliate marketing and stuff like that. And he said the first 2 or 3 iterations were just like barely breaking even. And then he hired a copywriter. It cost him like $10,000. And then they launched that page and boom, that was the thing that scaled them to like 200 grand a month and then beyond. And he said it was like the 6th or 7th or 8th iteration of everything. And he's like, in the past, I would have just given up. Like, I'd have tried it 2 or 3 times, it'd be done. But it's like the determination to figure that thing out, to go through spending money, wasting money.
Yeah.
Almost that is the education in and of itself. And I think people throw £5 a day on Facebook ads and it doesn't work after 2 weeks and they're like, oh, fuck it.
I think it's just the whole practice what you preach thing at the end of the day. Like, I literally last night, I'm going to Marbella on a stag do, and I wanted to coincide creating some new content. So I've booked a photo shoot, and I've had a bit of a rough couple of months. No, excuses aside. I was like, I messaged my mate who's a fitness coach. I was like, dude, can I just pay you to hold me accountable for the next 10 weeks? Because I've got to a point where I realized that above all else, knowledge aside, if I've got that skin in the game with something, it changes for me, right? No matter whatever price I pay, or whether it's a level of respect for the coach that I have. And I just think, again, it comes back down to, if you are a coach that is getting pissed off and messaging me saying, hey, this guy didn't close because he said my program was too expensive, knowing full that money aside, there was something else going on there, you also have to put yourself in that same situation. And whether that's, like I said, hiring a fitness coach, a business coach, a therapist, go out there and spend some money on something, because that's the only way for you to truly feel and experience what it's like to be on the other side.
Well, yeah, like, would you sign up for a £600 program and you're selling a £600 program? Like,
yeah.
It's mad. Just because you have a knowledge base of something doesn't mean that you shouldn't make that investment anyway. Because everybody has information that listen, who on this planet does not know that eating less, moving more, being more consistent, drinking more water, drinking less alcohol, eating more fruits and vegetables isn't a good thing for them? Every single person on the planet knows that. Are there nuances? Yes. Are there little things that they can figure out? Yes. Could they Google every piece of it? Yes. People aren't paying for information. They're paying for access to simplicity, to outsource their thinking. That's why you hire a coach. You're outsourcing your thinking and your thoughts. You're not hiring somebody to give you information. So the same way, like, if you are truly a believer of coaching, then you know that somebody can take you beyond where you can take yourself.
Yes.
So if you're unwilling to invest as a coach in a coach to get you in a vehicle quicker, easier, faster than you could yourself, then it's hypocritical.
Yeah, and I think it's very common, and it's something that I will always try and challenge the guys on. In the same way on a sales call, if I'm selling my own mentorship through business, and it's interesting because if they've seen my content, they see me talking about things, and I'm very transparent with them. Said I'm not going to try and sell this to you. I'm essentially have a two-way conversation here, and we're kind of interviewing to see if you're a good fit. But it's always a funny point when it gets to the point where you bring up some sort of objection, like word vomit. There's just that we know is bullshit.
Yeah,
and I'll call them out on it and say, I'm so cool if it's saying about me or the program, but don't do that. Like, let's just have an honest conversation, because you will get that in your own business as a fitness coach, and it will piss you off when you know that you've built up a relationship with someone and they're not just being honest with you and saying the real reason. Like, I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to see a return on my investment, or I don't know if it's going to work for me. Like, let's keep it transparent. So I think you have to put yourself in those situations. It's
very human to create artificial reasons for situations.
Yeah.
Like, even just you're late. I got, late, or this happened, that happened. No, you're just late. Like, you don't need the explanation.
Yeah.
You're late.
And that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Like, just be honest. Like, I fucking took longer. I was on my phone whilst I was on the toilet, and it took longer to get ready than I thought. Like, honesty is king. Like, I had a client that's been with me a long time, and he recently decided to leave the program. He started giving me a load of reasons. I sent him a message like, listen, dude, I'd like to offer you a safe space to speak with me, because I don't think the reason that you give me is the reason. Actually, I'd like to offer you a safe container to have a conversation about what actually is the reason, because I'd love to know. It'd be very helpful to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And like, it takes two things. Number one, a level of vulnerability and honesty and transparency, but also an element of safety.
Yes.
And creating a space of trust with somebody. That's something that I've only learned over the last 18 months, to create a container of like absolute trust.
Yeah.
Whatever we say here it goes no further.
Yeah.
You can be as honest and vulnerable as you want with me.
Well, I think it's when I spoke to a guy last night, and he said about moving forwards with mentorship. And then I said to him on the phone, and if he's watching this, this will be even funnier. And it got to the point where I said about, cool, so if you've got a card handy, like, let's do this. And he's like rustling around. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm trying to find my wallet. I was like, oh, we're doing that, are we?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, come on, bro. Like, let's not do that. Like, what's going on? Like, you know where your car. No, honestly, I'm looking for. You know what? Let's book in for Friday, and I'll process stuff on Friday with you. And he says, okay, yeah, let's book in for Friday. So I'm like, cool. And I'm like, just a heads up, if I put that time aside on Friday, I'm turning down thousands of pounds worth of money that I could make in that time. Are we definitely moving forward? Oh, well, don't put that time down for Friday. And I was like, look, I'll be honest with you. I feel like there's something you're not sure about. There's something else going on here. I'll just say it how it is. I feel like you're using not being able to find your cars next year, and that's cool. But let's just have that transparent conversation. And I think, again, there's just something about whether it's in sales encounters or with your current clients, just having honest conversations. And if you calling bullshit, if you know it's so obviously not the thing they're saying, challenge them, test it.
Isn't that coaching?
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah. Or just being a decent human. But
wouldn't you would expect that to be the default as a relationship with a coach? Like on the coaching call before I came for this podcast, one of my clients was like, I want to do this thing. She's always creating something new.
Yeah.
All she wanted me to say was like, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But I actually challenged her with a load of questions. She's like, oh, really disappointed that you asked me all of those questions, because I just wanted to do it and I thought it was going to be easy. I'm like, you can do it. But you have to, you can't just wake up one day with an idea and think it's a great thing to do. You've got to be challenged. And I think as a coach, I want somebody to challenge me. I want people to play devil's advocate, ask me difficult questions, ask me questions that I'm not asking of myself. And I think in that moment too, it's like, okay, if you use that excuse, then don't expect somebody else to not use that with you and then you not accept it.
What I enjoy doing from time to time, I don't know if you've ever done this, is I actually offer up to some of my clients to take their sales calls for them to prove the point that how I sell is consistent, whether I'm making money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I get a bit of a buzz, being honest. Of course, it's cool when they say yes and the money passes through, but I'm not making any commission out of it. And I ultimately, I don't care so much if they don't sign up, right? And it's just to prove the point that even when I'm selling, I make a point of selling to people like I'd be selling to my best mate. If my best mate was telling me that he feels fat and out of shape, he's got a shit sex life with his partner, he feels like he's going to get a divorce if he doesn't get his act together, I'd be saying to him, bro, you need to get yourself a PT or a fitness coach.
Exactly.
I'd be fine. And then when he started to say, oh, but it's a money, I'm like, you're good for cash. What's your next excuse? Oh, I don't have time. Make the fuck, like, that's how I speak to my mates. So why would I not sell in the same way?
Well,
So when people see me selling, I think they understand that I'm kind of just coaching like I would with anyone. It's consistent.
Well, people don't get into a conversation with a coach to not want or have desire to get help, right? The same way somebody doesn't book a doctor's appointment to turn up and tell the doctor how awesome their life is, right? And how healthy they are. Like, imagine, I just wanted to book an appointment day to tell you how healthy I am. Like,
It just doesn't.
It doesn't happen. And the same thing, like somebody does not book a call with you because they're thrilled with how their life is.
Yes.
So it's your moral obligation and ethical obligation to figure out what's truly holding them back in all elements.
Yeah.
Because they all have stories and reasons for not moving forward. Money and time and energy and all that. You just put that aside. Like, listen, I understand you're busy. Listen, I understand money's tight. Listen, I understand. What's the reason that we're on this having this conversation today?
When I'm selling, I do often say the words. I say, like, I'd say to you, Chris, like I'd say to my best mate, if he was struggling with this thing, I'd say, whether it's with me or anyone, I was like, don't sign up with me.
Yeah.
But you need this thing. So whether it's with me or someone else, I'm so cool with that. But I'm at a point now where I'm so invested in this conversation. You've told me about all this pain that you're in, and I can see a clear path. You can't. Mm-hmm. I can get you there and you can't. And whether it's with me, there's loads of great coaches and mentors out there. So go with someone, but you need the help.
Yep.
And I make that really clear. And I say, if it's not me, I'd even put you in touch with someone that might be a better fit, either financially or time, or you might trust to move forward with them instead. But this is why, as PTs, you often find out that you do a taster session with someone, 6 months down the line, you see them walking around the gym with another trainer.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling back in the day. It used to fucking kill me. And I'd be like, but they said they didn't have money. You speak to the trainer like, oh no, I'm charging £10 more than you even were. And you're like, what? So clearly it's not always going to be a done deal.
It's your own limitation, right? It's like your own belief about money that prevents you from actually going to that conversation.
Yeah.
You've never been taught to have conversations around money. Money wasn't spoken about in your childhood and growing up. And I just think, like you said, I've said that too. Like whether it's with me or somebody else, it's clear that you need some help.
Yes.
I'm cool either way. But based on what you've told me today, it's this. You'd like to have this. You're struggling with this.
Yeah.
So you got a decision to make. You either continue on the path that you're on and try and figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Or you hire somebody, me or someone else.
Yeah.
But they're clear only two decisions that you have.
That's why I always ask the question on any sales call where at that point is, fine, don't do this, or cool, like, do you mind me asking, what's your alternative?
Mm-hmm.
And then silence, because they're racking their brains thinking, shit, what can I say to get out of this? And if you don't have an alternative plan, if someone says, oh, I know I've got 5 other calls like this lined up and I'm actually just trying to find the best for me. Oh, sweet. Okay. Like come back to me or whatever. But if their alternative is this or nothing, and you've already identified that without your help that they're borderline diabetic or they're borderline depressive or whatever it is for them, like challenge them, be that person to them, because guess what? When they pay you and they're on the inside, you're going to be challenging them there. So why not just be that person from the minute you meet them? Don't be someone different on the phone and then be someone completely different when you get on the inside, because then they'll be like, who the fuck is this guy challenging me? You weren't like this on the phone.
Exactly.
It's like, just be the same person, whatever that is for you.
I think it's so important to hold people accountable. It's accountability to me is hold them accountable to their word, not to like, how are you doing? How are you getting on?
Yeah.
Like basically hold up a mirror.
Yeah.
This is what you're telling me. This is what you want to do. Money is not holding you back. If your program is less than 500 quid, money's not holding you back. Everybody's got a credit card. Everybody's got availability.
Yeah.
If they can't find 500 quid or 500 quid's going to make them broke, they shouldn't sign up anyway. They've got bigger problems in their life than getting in shape.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's not the reason. We've got to figure out, what results would you require for that to be the best investment you ever made in your life?
Yeah.
What would happen? What would have to happen for that 500 quid to be life-changing?
Yes.
And it's really a value thing. It's a perception, and it's our job to figure that out and go into the hole with them and dig in deep.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be doing your job if you, every time someone said no to joining your program or signing up with you, if you just rolled over and said, yeah, no problem. Like, I feel like it's an excuse that personal trainers make to be like, oh, I don't want to come across salesy, or I don't need to sell. I sell through just being a great coach. That's bullshit. That is, if anything, you're trying to sell me on that idea right now, right? Because ultimately someone's selling to someone. So why not just put that to one side and actually say, in order to become a better coach, I need to get better at sales. And as I've got better at sales over the years, guess what? I've become a better coach. I get people better results because I'm good at selling.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you get buy-in.
If I don't get them to buy in, who will? Because the whole reason they're in this position is because no one's ever took them to one side and said, the way you're going, where you're heading, you're not going to like it. So I'm going to stop you in your tracks and just give you a different way. And I'll fight for you as well in the process.
Buy-in's commitment and money, and you've got to get people sold on both things.
Yes.
And I think, honestly, we'll kind of wrap up here because we're running out of time. This is my belief. When somebody accepts a no from a potential client around money, and they just accept, like, okay, I totally understand. There is a container of pressure that builds in a sales environment. And there's only really 2 ways that relieves: sign up or they leave the call.
Yeah.
I actually think, although it is actually counterintuitive and counterproductive, a trainer might actually have a sigh of relief when somebody says no.
Yeah.
Because then they don't have to go to the difficult bit of actually processing money and taking money and going through that difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to ask for money.
Yeah.
They don't want to process the payment. It's a deeper thing in them. So I actually think sometimes they're actually happy to let the sale go.
And guess what? The only way you're going to get better at something, the same line you use with your client every day who hates pull-ups and push-ups, is by doing it more. So get the reps in. I get my coaches doing a power hour every week. And I say to them, when did you last have a sales call? Oh, 3 weeks ago when they first come in. Well, that's not good enough, is it? They're like, why? Well, what's important in business? Sales. If you're not selling your program or personal training on a weekly basis, guess what? You get rusty. Like a muscle that atrophies, same shit. So if you set like a power hour where every single week, same time every week, Mondays at 4, you put an hour aside, you get your phone out and you're just forced to call people, you will get better at selling.
Yep.
Getting the reps in, doing it more frequently. If you're not selling regularly, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't had a sales call or a sales encounter in the past few weeks, then create them for yourself. You've got numbers in your phone. You've got people on the gym floor. You've got people in your local area.
Past clients,
your mate's mate, friends of friends. Like we said, there's people fucking everywhere. Go into your local sunbiz shop, restaurant, whatever. Do whatever it needs to happen, but you need to be selling regularly to keep flexing and exercising that muscle.
This is a great way to finish. Seek out discomfort, or discomfort will seek you out. And that's it. You either find it or it will find you.
Yeah.
You either deal with the discomfort of doing it right now, or you deal with the discomfort of not having the business that you want and having to go back to something you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah, bang on. Cool.
Thanks for being here.
It's good fun, man.
All right, that's it. It's a wrap.